let's try this again. I'm gonna go back a little bit just because look at Dave's face. Maybe I can use this for the thumbnail. Oh, it's actually kind of interesting looking at his facial expressions. I don't know, like what do you see in that in the facial expression there? Like it's almost kind of like that's some depth there. He's got a smirk on his face. See that? A little bit of smirk, a little bit of anger. It's very interesting. Almost kind of disgust too. There's a lot going on there, and look at what he's looking at, right? Let's recreate this. Huh. Interesting, hey? Do you think he actually meant to recreate this? Maybe we'll go back a little bit further. Oh God, I'm gonna listen to Jason talk. I mean, oh, oh man, the expressions on his face are priceless. How come you cannot see that when you're just watching it? What does it say? This shit just makes me laugh over and over. Like, why the fuck would you do this? Laugh out loud. 50 Cent. Exactly. So, let's recreate that. Like, I don't think anyone's looking at that and being like, that's what we need to do. Like, what was his purpose for bringing this up? By the way, this is part 2. So if you're like, oh, what is this? That would be the reason.
Do that. And I remember Jeff told me to check my DMs, and it was a video that he found like
Let's
15
create
minutes before
this.
the accident that somebody posted, and he said, "Let's
15
recreate
minutes
this."
before the
And it was a
accident.
guy swinging from an excavator and flying off. I didn't see that DM till the hospital, and he jokes. He's like, "I didn't mean literally, haha," like he joked. That was
It
the first
didn't
time I
mean
saw the DM. That was the
literally.
first time I opened
Haha.
it.
Like he joked.
Um, and then
Yeah.
he asked, he's like, can you promise me one thing?" And I said, "What?" And he's like, "Can you just promise that no one ever knows that this was my idea?"
Okay. So this is where I was going to go at something and then it doesn't matter. Can you promise me that this was not my idea? Okay. I mean, I understand why he's saying that because, or Dave is saying this because he's trying to kind of explain, like, hey, this is the real reason why I brought it up. I'm just being honest. Okay, that's what he's saying, right? Uh, but on the whole, like, if you're just looking at it like, who is more responsible for this? Let's play this out, okay? So Jeff says, "Hey David, oh my God, okay, just no, let's make it personal, okay? You are at, or your friend is at your house, and your friend is saying, I want to jump off your balcony, right? I think this would be fun, right? Um, and it's really high, and maybe he's showing a video of someone like dying, like that person could have died, I don't know, right? He said, I want to recreate this thing where someone dies, right, or almost dies, uh, and jump off your building or your house or whatever. Do you say, yeah, that would be cool, let me videotape it, or do you say, I don't know about that, let's not do that, right? What is, or maybe it's somewhere in between. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's what people think. I would think that most people would say you're crazy. There's something wrong with you. You know, and given that, you know, I mean, Jeff may have been high on adrenaline, but was David? Was he? I don't think so.
And I was like, absolutely. Like, that's not a big deal. And then that's the
Absolutely, that's not a
promise I
big
broke
deal.
recently.
So this is it's a common kind of manipulation tactic to kind of just like completely change the conversation. So he went from, saying like, "Hey, David," or Jeff is saying David lied and said that it was my idea, um, and and it's my fault. I think that's the big part with Jeff. It's not, see, this is where it is. He starts saying, "Oh, well, it's about, it was Jeff's idea." Whoever's idea it was, I don't think that's where Jeff is really having issues with it. It's that David is not taking any accountability for this. It's David's responsibility, not even as a, famous YouTuber with tons of money, but just as a general, not even as a friend, as a human being, that you would not put someone or allow someone to get into a situation where they could be hurt. There are so many uh, parts of this where he should accept a large part of the responsibility, and that's my opinion is that that is where Jeff is really upset about, right? And by changing the narrative right here, David is making it sound like, oh, all I did was, um, not break. I broke a promise that it was Jeff's fault. Whether it was, or sorry, not Jeff's fault. See, this is the thing, is that he's completely changing the narrative. So even when I'm explaining it, it's confusing. So Jeff is saying that uh, David needs to take an accountability. Okay. Um, what David is saying is that it was Jeff's idea. What I am saying is that whether it was Jeff's idea or not, it is David's responsibility. Um, David has a large responsibility to take care of the people around him. And that is exasperate, I can't speak, but, emphasized by, him being a YouTuber, that he's making money off this, that he, is, he's also, this is for his video, that he was driving the excavator. It was his idea to have the excavator. It was, uh, it brought up as an idea. He said that that was a good idea. He enjoyed that idea. And um, and this is the big part here, and maybe where he's probably not going to say it, but like, um, maybe he believes that Jeff wanted to be swung around that quickly. I don't know. But either way, David has a responsibility to drive the excavator safely because he put these situations in place. There'd be no way that this wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Dave's idea to do this. There's no way. Anyway, continue on.
Um, and, and and I don't know. And here's the thing, I don't understand why that bothered him so much, because at the end of
He
the
doesn't
day,
understand why it bothers him so much. So there he is. There, he's just said it. He doesn't understand why that bothered him so much. He's not actually arguing the thing. I think um, it's like a straw man argument. I'm not sure if that's the case, but it's like it's changing the argument to something else. If it is straw man, I'm gonna pop in something here to explain what a straw man is. In fact, I wonder if I can do this. This might new to this. Let's look up straw man. Straw man. I'm able to look at two screens. Awesome. So, straw man, an intentionally misrepresented proposition that is set up because it's easier to defeat than an opponent's real argument. A person regarded as having no substance or integrity. Oh my God. So, this is what David is doing, and I'm going to explain it again. Here's something from Wikipedia here. A straw man is a form of argument and an informal fallacy, which is something that's illogical or false. So a straw man is a form of argument and an informal fallacy of having the impression of refuting an argument, whereas the real subject of the argument was not addressed or refuted, but instead replaced by a false one. A common form of setting up such a straw man is by use of notorious formula. So what you're saying is, right? So it has other things: hasty generalization, false dilemma, begging the question, fallacy of relative private. I don't even know what that means. Anyway, so that's what he's doing. He's setting up a completely different argument. Um, it's beautiful. The way he did it, and that's where a lot of people who are manipulative will do. Whether he got this from, a lawyer who told him to do this, I would imagine that he could just brainchild this himself.
I was the one fucking driving it. It was
Right.
my video. I was the
Yes.
one sitting there. It's
Yes.
fucking clear as day. I am the one controlling the thing.
Yes.
He got hurt because I was driving. That's
Yes.
it. And I fucking know that.
Yes.
And like I said, any chance I would get, I would take that back. Any
Any
chance I would
chance.
get.
Of course.
And
Why wouldn't you?
And that'll be the biggest regret of my life.
Biggest
my
regret
entire
of your life?
I really hope there's not a moment that I regret as much as that
It's
one.
been regret so far. Trust me, there could be others.
But yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting heated a little bit.
It's like a pride thing. He didn't want to.
Okay.
It was a pride
was.
thing.
I just whatever it was. I was like, yes, I can keep that.
So now he's saying, "Oh, it was a pride thing." He's completely changing the subject. Even while I'm talking, it's like I might have to just put something in the corner here to just kind of explain, like, this is what Jeff is upset about, not taking accountability. This is all about deflecting and arguing something that does not exist.
And then it got like a little bit. We started filming. We got
a little bit.
What? I wish Jeff was a little bit more truthful on, but
you want to be a little bit
truthful.
So what he's saying is that Jeff is not truthful.
Hard because he's hurt. So that's why I hate talking about this, because he is a victim. Like, he got fucking hurt. His face is crushed. He has to go to multiple surgeries. Like, I understand that. So it's like really tough, like going back and forth when this is so like.
Here are some of the
some
of the things that he's told me that I are legitimate. They're legitimate gripes. Like he came to the house to do a Hawaii video, and he thought, and you had planned.
I just want to say that all of this is not taking accountability. He takes accountability for like 15 seconds. This whole video, it's depressing.
And the Hawaii trip the same day as one of his surgeries, so there was no way that he could go to Hawaii, but he was here.
These are side parts, and even I would say this even if I hadn't watched Jeff's video before this, but I mean, this is not the issue at hand. This is not why Jeff may possibly, sue him. It's not because he didn't take him on a Hawaii trip.
Here for the return of the video. So, which is,
But we didn't plan that trip.
We didn't know when he was getting his surgeries. We never know.
And we didn't.
Okay, these are like, we never know. We never know when his surgeries are. You never know. Never have known. He had 9 surgeries. So when someone says like that, and it's at that little snobby tone, do you hear it? Oh, I hear it.
We didn't plan that trip until way like everyone came. I surprised them
way
with the trip.
after.
And like on camera. I said it's in 3 days, like just to get a cool reaction. I don't even know if I included that, but it wasn't for like weeks after we
Right.
went because we were.
We said it's in 3 days for the reaction. So it's like he has like this like plausible deniability for everything. Like, oh, I was just lying about that's lying, right? So he's very skilled at lying. He lies all the time in videos in order to like get a reaction, right? And he does it for the views. Oh,
Checking
God,
everyone's
it's gonna be
schedule, and then his
long.
surgery came up last minute, so that wasn't.
And the hospital bills, which is one of his.
Okay, so he went over that really quickly. So my understanding is that he had the idea was that this Hawaii trip was supposed to make up for certain things, and that it had included Jeff in the video, and so it would make it sound like Jeff was included in this. Jeff was not included in it. So he got the reaction of, oh, wow, you're giving me a trip, but he didn't actually give Jeff a trip. And if he wanted to give Jeff a trip, he could have done that. He could have said, you know how easy it is? Hey, I want to surprise you with a trip to Hawaii. Or how about this? So he goes and he said, I'm trying to say, like, there are ways around it. If he wanted to really give Jeff a trip, he could give Jeff a trip. Let me explain all the different things. Um, he can say if Jeff said, "Oh, actually, I have my surgery then. I'm really bummed about that." Okay, well, I really want to give you a trip, and I want to be I want to take you on a trip with people. So let's do this. Let's cancel the trip, and we'll do a new one when you're ready. Okay, that didn't work. He didn't want to do that. How about, or maybe whatever, he had to do this trip for some weird reason. Okay, so then make a second trip. That, you know what, I freaking hate that you couldn't go on this trip. It's hurting me inside that you couldn't go. Let's make a different trip. Okay, that's another option that he could have done. And he could have videotaped that. He could have made a whole vlog on it. He could have done whatever he wanted with it. He didn't even care to do that. Okay, let me go a step further. Let's backtrack a little bit. Um, Natalie says that they never knew when his surgeries are. Okay, that could be possible. Now, and they say, and I don't know if it's here or a little bit later, but they say, oh, it's because we couldn't get information from Jeff. Okay, so this is what I would do. I thought about this. I was like, what would I do if I seriously harmed somebody? Right? And they had to go for multiple surgeries, and I knew that they were in pain and they could lose their eye and they had brain damage, all these different things. I mean, I would do this with even less, but whatever. So this is someone that I know well. I would know their family. I would know their friends. I would know people that are close to them that would know that information. And this is what I would do. Like if that person just was like, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you, I don't care. There's a couple different things I'd do. First thing is I would contact Jeff's family, and I would say, hey, like I know Jeff is really pissed off at me. And he doesn't need to know this, but I just want to know when his surgeries are. It's really important to me that I know that he's okay, even if he doesn't know that I'm doing this, right? That's something that, so to say, oh, we never knew about surgeries, you could find out if you wanted to. There is a way to do it, even if he's just saying fuck you completely. It doesn't even sound like that's the point, but he could have done that. And honestly, that's a pretty normal thing um, for people to do in these type of situations. It's very abnormal for someone not to do that. Additionally, like I don't have a shitload of money. Um, but I would do everything in my power to make sure that he was getting paid properly. And I would be, if I couldn't pay for it, then I would just be there constantly. Or I would do something. I would feel the need to make it my life's purpose to make sure that this person is okay. I know that, and I'm kind of like, I'm a like an overly caring person, so I could be a little smothering at times. Um, Yeah, but so I don't expect everyone to be like me.
His gripes, and his credit is messed up, is what he told me. But you guys are saying that you have tried to pay the hospital bills, right? But his assistant hasn't reached back out.
Well, let me get into that.
Okay.
I think.
So he's saying the assistant didn't reach back out. Very possible. I don't know.
I think the hospital bills.
This is tough. I'm not like trying to speak for Jeff, but I think it's fair that someone does.
No.
So because I've watched the Jeff thing, this is the way that this is very difficult for Jason right now. He is doing something he doesn't usually do. He's not being a complete yes man, even though it's actually just setting him up or setting David up. But also, he's challenging him in a way, and I can totally see that Jeff wouldn't see that as a challenge to David because, I mean, even on a good day, Jeff would be pretty confrontational. So this is like, it's like, is it like slow pitch, slowy, whatever, anyway.
Oh, definitely someone should be speaking for Jeff because he's not here. But that stuff is tough because I think it goes along with what I'm about to say. So, well, let me get to the house. Should I talk about the hospital bills or should I go? I think we skipped a lot here.
Yeah.
Just talk about the hospital bills, then go back.
Okay, so
go back.
Okay, so let me.
Okay, it's gonna go back.
So then we started filming.
Annoying.
There's a lot of things that I wish were more like honest and transparent.
So again, Jeff isn't being honest. I don't know how many times this is.
Keep the accident to ourselves for a
Jeff
while.
wanted to keep the accident to himself.
He also just wasn't comfortable with like the way that he looked. He didn't want to show people until, he was ready.
That's understandable.
Right.
Yeah, which is totally understandable.
I see a lot of things. I don't know if he said it or where it was like put into the universe that like I kept this from people. Like.
Again, this is another non-argument. No one
from people. One,
no one is saying
his
that.
Fucking face. It's his life. Like he's allowed to share it whenever.
And Jeff isn't even saying this. So
that would just be extremely stupid of me trying to hide.
So I don't know
as
who
brutal
he's
as
talking
that.
to about
like
this.
I would never ever do that.
So annoying.
And that never happened. That
blah
was
blah blah.
That was we were following his lead. So when he
following
wanted to make
his
a doc,
lead, yeah.
like I was
Jeff,
there. Like I was
Jeff
like whatever you need me to do, like however I'm gonna be in this, like I'll be in it.
There's no argument here.
Where things started to get a little strange because I remember we were in Utah. We went to like 3 or 4 surgeries with him. I'm not sure, back to Utah.
3
one of
to
them,
4
we
surgeries.
were filming the doc.
Okay.
And one of his guys that works with him went up to Taylor and was like, "We really want to make David cry in this piece. We really want him to know what he's done."
We really want him to cry.
Of what he said to Taylor.
Okay.
But that was kind of the thing that resonated with me the most, and that's
said
where I
that to
started to feel
Taylor.
like, oh fuck, like what's going on here? Like,
okay,
someone's not being transparent with me here. Like, I almost feel like I'm being pushed into a corner.
Okay, so he's not being transparent.
That made me feel.
I mean, maybe, but they're talking to his assistant about it. What do you think his assistant, his paid employee, is going to actually not tell him? Even in that, you have to think of the reasonability of this. Like, if you're trying to, have something behind the scenes, why would you tell their assistant? Why? Why would it was out in the open? It's got to be. That's what Jeff said, and also that's what makes logical sense in this situation. This isn't an opinion. This is like, it's a logical of events. If you're trying to have some ulterior motive for something, then you wouldn't tell his assistant. You'd probably tell a confidant or something like that.
But really, like, uncomfortable and scared, and
made you uncomfortable and scared because you were worried about what? About them making you cry. Did they make you cry? I mean, I don't know.
Hey, why? What's wrong with what is wrong with you crying in the doc?
Huh? That's a good point.
Well, because it's just like a weird thing to say. I felt like
That's
it was
weird
like,
thing to say.
I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but like that to me felt like, I don't know, like it just didn't feel. It just felt weird.
Yeah, and also I think you.
Yeah. Okay, so he agrees with it. It is weird that they wanted to make him cry. So, something that Jason agrees
You
with.
know, the doc came after a bunch of other bad shit that happened.
Right,
Okay,
and I think
so
it came at the wrong time,
the timing was
and
bad.
and it's
Now Jeff goes into this and says that like, yeah, but I was starting to realize how fucking shitty this was, and it sounds like he was already going to make the documentary anyways. So, yeah, I mean,
tough
what are you gonna
with
do?
like.
And Jeff actually probably made him look a little
And
bit
it's tough.
better.
And then the doc got into things like how like I'm not there for him, like we don't talk enough, and a
Yeah,
lot of
that's his
that was
feelings
true.
about.
Like
Yeah, okay.
I've never had a harder time communicating with a person than I have
Okay.
with him.
Okay. So saying something like that, I've never, so he's using big words here. Never and hate, they're big words. Okay. And he's saying he's never had more trouble communicating with someone than with Jeff, which is interesting in a way because, yeah, Jeff is a complicated person, as we all are, as he is, David is, you know,
During this, um, and it's for multiple reasons. It's for
multiple
me fucking
reasons.
just being bad at that shit and not knowing how to handle.
Okay, so he's bad at that shit. Okay, so that's his reason for why he hasn't reached out and communicated properly.
Like such a serious situation. And I also didn't know if he needed space. Like every
And that's a reasonable thing. He didn't know if he needed space. And I think that's when I would, if, and I'll give it to him that maybe he just, didn't know how to reach out or didn't want to or didn't know what was appropriate, but he could easily reach out. This is what I would do. As I would have reached out to his family and said, like, oh my God, what does he want? What does he need? What can I do for him? Um, he's pushing me away. He's saying things are okay, but obviously things are not okay.
time I would talk to him, Jeff is like a guy who like is very tough when you're to his face and is like, I don't need this. I don't need you doing this. Like I'm good.
And that's like I'm the same way too, and that can actually come out of honestly some trauma or whatever, right? Is feeling the need to like own everything and not ask for help, you know?
I'm strong. But then when you create that distance, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He's not fucking not.
So then he created a distance, and this is a common thing. Oh my God. I mean, it's part of us as human beings. It's like, no, I don't need anything. And then when you're not away, it's like, well, why aren't you here? Why didn't you do this? Right. So I think David is expecting that Jeff act in a way that works for David. David isn't really willing to bend or accommodate. And in usual situations, that's fine. But I think in this situation, the tenderness and compassion needs to be there for Jeff, who's going through a lot, and also like traumatic brain injuries is no joke. I mean, I got a concussion last year, and it was very mild in comparison. And for a full week, I couldn't even look at anything, like I could hardly open my eyes. And like, I was also like very emotional, like I was almost kind of like a little unhinged. And that was just like a punch to the face, work related. But anyway,
Not talking to me. And then like when my other friends would go talk to him, he'd tell him, he's like, if I ever see Dave, I'm gonna fucking beat his ass.
Right.
So it's like, and that happened multiple times from multiple different friends where he would like complain about. So like I wouldn't know.
so, and this is something where I don't expect David to really understand this, but like, someone like Jeff and his background, that's just how you communicate. Like, I'm not saying it's right, it's not okay, but it just, I don't know. I feel like I kind of understand that, like, chances are he wasn't actually meaning that he's gonna beat him up. But like, also, he's gone through a traumatic brain injury, he's gone through all these things, he's upset, and so those are the words that he uses when he says that he's upset. And it's very difficult when you have, like, I don't think, how many times has David been in an actual physical fight? Once you've actually been in a physical fight, you're like, oh my God, I know my own strength. I know I could take him. You know what I mean? So like that kind of like comes into the communication more. So the fact that Jeff's friends, the mutual friends with David, are going back and saying like, yeah, he wants to beat you up. I don't know how that was a thing, but if I was Jeff, I would be very hurt that that stuff was being brought up, because sometimes, you say things behind closed doors, but you don't actually mean it. You're frustrated, whatever. You know, as a social worker, I've had different things, and like people say like, "Oh, I want to kill this person" or whatever, right? It doesn't mean that they actually want to kill them. It's like an expression of their frustration. So I mean, we don't really know whether he actually wanted to beat them up.
No, like, do you want to see me more so you can beat my ass? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
I don't
So
know
he
how to
didn't
go
like that. He
about
was
that
angry that that was
in a
that
way where it's not hurting him more seeing me,
I-
because like that accident is so
hurting.
bad where like
Yeah.
I would understand if he wouldn't want to see me because I'm associated with like
Hmm.
Yeah.
such a
That
shit
would probably
fucking
be
time.
easier for David
And
if that
back
was what it
to the secret that he wanted me to keep.
was. Ugh, the secret
I
thing is annoying the crap out of me.
I was
He,
all
how many
hands on
times does
deck
he
for
bring
that.
up this?
I feel like
How many times does he bring up the
I can
secret?
take, you know,
Okay, this is funny
80% of the
too.
responsibility,
80%,
90%, 100% of the
90%,
responsibility for the
100% of the
accident, whatever he needs me.
responsibility. I think it's funny because there was a video that came out from a lawyer, and who watched it and said, oh, maybe he's like, how much percentage of responsibility do you think, David? And they're probably like, ah. Uh, Jeff even says, he's very honest that he says that he takes on part of the responsibility. So he's not asking for 100%.
To do. But that, then when it gets to the point where it started to feel like I was taking 150% of the responsibility. I started
Really?
to see things like David fucking
150?
forced his friend up there, like all this kind of stuff, like that was
Forced his
just
friend?
fucking insane. And it like
He's
felt like
not saying that he
people thought I
forced
like
you up there.
really sent him up there just so he can fucking swing off this thing.
Right.
Like that was not the
Well,
case.
I
And like
mean, David,
the
you
more and
have
more
done
that
things
happened, the
like
more I
that.
was like, what
So
is going on? Like this
how
is not what
how
happened.
humans
It was
interpret things is going to
a
be very
combined
different,
decision we
especially
made,
online.
and it was a complete accident. And I'm
Combined
so fucking
decision,
sorry that
sure.
accident happened, but it did, and
I'd
there's
call it
no
an
going back from
incident.
that. Like
It's
there's
not an
nothing we
accident,
can
it's
do.
an incident at this
Um,
point.
and yeah, I wish it was more like that. And then when it started to be like more 150% on me, I started to get, I don't know, I guess like it just freaked me out more. I was just like, I don't know
Freaked out.
what's going on. I don't know. And then in terms of his like medical payments, so far we've paid. I just
Finally, we're
had
getting back to the
accounting
medical
check, and it was
payments.
like
How long has it been?
$78,000 of surgery, and I don't know
$78,000.
what that equates to. I don't know what that is, but I just don't love the fact that he's going around saying I don't pay for surgeries. Like
I
that
don't
fucking
love that.
hurts. Like I want to
Yeah.
help him. I
Sure.
really
Okay,
truly
well
do.
then do.
And like he
This is
still
another thing
has
I
my
would do.
word. Like I told him that.
Okay, my word. Okay, this is the thing. Like, I've had situations where, like, uh, okay, if you really, why does um Jeff have to beg? I've been in a situation where my family said that they would help pay for school, and every semester I had to ask if it was okay, or here is a bill, or something like that. And it felt like super, I didn't like taking money from people and even family. And so I found it very difficult. And if you thinking you're putting, David, if you're putting yourself in Jeff's shoes and you understand that he is the type of person who doesn't like to, he likes to do things on his own. He doesn't want to do that. It's going to be very hard for him to ask stuff. But, that's why he's got his, manager and different people to say, hey, no, you need to do this, regardless of it. Why, David, why don't you just give him $1 million? Like, I'm not being like, I'm being completely serious. Like, I mean, sell your house. If you don't have the money, sell your house. I don't know. There's ways. I don't know. Like, maybe he's broke. I don't get it. But like, why don't you just say like, hey, here's $500,000. Here's whatever. Use it. And then, let me know. And then that way, like, let's say, okay, so for example, like you give them $500,000 and they spend it in a day, and you're like, well, then I'm not going to give you more. Like, you're being nuts with it, right? Like, show me all your bills. But if you can say, like, hey, here's $500,000, spend it on the bills that you feel like is needed. When you need more, come and get me. But if you're like every, like, nickeling and diming him for every cent, like, it's really hard. Like, imagine every surgery he's got to go and ask somebody for money. Just give him a lump sum of money. That would be the easiest way. And then when he gets through that lump sum of money, then go back. And if you feel like that there's too much, or when he's asking for money, ask for the receipts or whatever, and do it that way. That makes more sense than oh well, you have to ask me. You know what I mean? So
To pay for surgeries. He can still, and the reason
he
he
can
hasn't
still
been
do
paying
it.
for a surgery, I don't know if it's
I,
his assistant's
the
fault
reason why.
or Jeff just
They're just
told him to back off from us. But like, I don't handle that stuff more. I just give approval to spend that whatever.
Right.
But
Okay, he
like,
gives approval to
Natalie has
spend it. I
asked
don't do
multiple
anything.
times, like, loop us into all these surgeries, and we're just not getting looped into anything.
Okay, loop us into surgeries. I don't know what that means, right? Like, I don't know if that's in an email. I don't know if that's like, what if there's like, we don't know the context of like what those conversations were like. And that's where they're really going to like, there's him with his tongue again. Does he ever keep his tongue in his mouth? I swear to God, I'm just pressing on it. It's like, it's so weird. Anyway, there's got to be something wrong with his tongue. Is that a thing? Is there a medical condition? Sorry, I'm getting frustrated, but anyway, sorry.
And then
Oh,
we're
what I was gonna say is that like with like emails, things like that, who knows? Like, oh, we asked you, but it was at the bottom of the email somewhere. You know what I mean? And there was like a million other things going back. Like, um, communication is poor. Just fucking say, hey, um, uh, give me a detailed thing of every surgery. Um, and yeah, I mean, just a simple email like that. Maybe she did that, but I just don't feel like she did. But that's my personal opinion. Um, and then also just give him a lump sum of money. What are you
blindsided
worried
when
about?
he goes to another surgery, and then he'll like come out and be like his most recent surgery. I didn't know that he had a surgery until he unfollowed me on Instagram, and that's because
Yeah, but
it's a
you
two-way
could have
street.
done
We
that.
can be like, when's your next surgery, but also
Okay, it's a two-way street. So he's admitting right there that he didn't ask about the surgery. So right there, he's not being on it.
we're not. No one's looping us into what we need to be paying for,
And when it's their 9th surgery, like, are you really going to be looping them in anymore? It's like it gets a little time consuming, to do that. And if you think, David, if you think this is time consuming, oh my God, can you imagine what Jeff is going through?
to this day, like, I'm still keeping my word. Like,
I'm
I
still
want him
keeping
to
my
send me
word.
whatever
What
he
word?
needs me to pay for. Like, I will
Okay,
pay for it.
I need him to send me it. Stop. Jeff already said that he asked about some brain imaging thing and to ask, and he didn't end up doing that. So it's like, can you imagine asking for something from somebody? This is Jeff, someone who doesn't like asking for things, wants to be independent, wants to do things on their own, asks David for things, doesn't get the answer right. There's probably communication problems because they're going between, Jeff's. It's going to get to the point. Oh, this reminds me of my divorce and different things, where eventually it's just like, just let the lawyers figure it out. Um, yeah. Jeff, you tried.
But it's just not fair to say that we haven't been paying for it because
I've paid literally every single bill that has ever
we've
been
paid
sent.
every bill and well as
We paid every single bill.
Um,
It's weird because they don't bring up that there was a whatchamacallit. I don't know. I live in Canada, so we don't have to deal with all this, but like an insurance thing. So I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
This is good.
This is good.
You're speaking your mind and
You're
speaking your truth
speaking
and
your
your side of
truth.
it, and it's good.
But at the end of the day, like, none of this matters. Like, nothing I say, nothing he says, nothing we say together will ever fix what happened. Like, that's the end of the fact. And
That's true.
And that's what sucks is like, it just can't be changed. And it's a fucking really shitty accident.
Yeah. Some things
And
can't be resolved.
It's just a thing that I don't know. I wish we could both figure out.
You can't go back in time.
Moving forward, like
you can't go back in time.
Actually, I don't know what I'm saying.
You know, I honestly think he'll see this and, you know, really appreciate this.
You think?
I think he will because I do.
Yeah, so there's some eye movements back and forth here, and he's going to really appreciate this. I think, Jason, I don't know. I don't know if you're clueless. I don't know if you just like live in like a little La La Land world. Oh, I don't know. I just want to cradle him in a little ball, tell him everything's going to be okay. They know better. They know that Jeff's not going to like this.
Actually, I think that you will appreciate this. I know he'll appreciate this because.
And he's going to appreciate it? Oof.
I think he just feels unheard.
Unheard,
feels
yeah.
like he was swiped under the rug and stuff like that. And
probably because it's
just
true.
You talking about it for the first time pays a lot of credence to what happened.
I mean, that's true.
It'll probably really help with some healing. And not to say
no.
Maybe there's some things that we said that pissed him off too.
Yeah.
But
this is
I think it's really good.
Right.
It could be the very beginning of healing.
It's a start.
It's a start.
And
yes,
I don't
okay,
really
I'll agree with that.
care what the comments say. I don't really care what anyone has to say. This is
Yeah.
all between us.
Yeah.
And we're doing this.
That's good.
So we all can heal and move on and ultimately hope things get better for Jeff too.
Yeah.
You know, and this is our way of doing it. You know.
They're trying.
I think it's also important to note that just because this is the first time that this conversation is happening like publicly for people to listen to doesn't mean that it hasn't happened multiple times in private.
Yeah.
Which is the frustrating part of all of this is that there have been many conversations that cover all of this.
That's my least favorite too. It's also like really tough when like I can see from Jeff's perspective, like it's probably really tough when he sees my videos and I'm like traveling the world and I'm having this like fucking time of my life and it's like
and he's getting his eye
and Jeff has made that very clear that that's the case.
And it totally looks, you know, I haven't mentioned this, like no one can even fucking tell that I want to fucking blow my fucking brains out.
Yeah.
And he wants to blow his brains out.
And that's part of the reason I want to do this is like
so maybe he's a little suicidal
every fucking minute of every day of my life. Fuck, I'm so lame. But like
yeah,
it's like
so
the worst. Why are you no, it's just
yeah, I can see it does weigh on him. Like but there's things that happen in life and you never get it back. You know? Like there's people who like without any meaning to, like, you know, they're drunk or whatever and they drive over, I don't know, a kid or something, a kill. And there's lots of different things that happen, right? And so, yeah, it's going to. David, if you really want this to be over, man, if you really want this to be over, like, you have to give him a bunch of money. You're being stingy with your money. Like, that seemed like a genuine emotion there. Oh, can we go back, I just like, David, if I could make one suggestion, I would say like that one part, for whatever reason it is, like that seems like a genuine emotion. I gotta look back.
Tell that I want to fucking blow my fucking brains out.
Yeah.
And
Okay. So
and
then it's a
and that's
recognition.
part of the reason I want to do this is like this weighs on
This,
me every fucking minute of every day of my life. Ah, fuck, I'm so late. But like,
yeah. And it's a combination of things, right? Like, David, you can take this opportunity and grow from it, actually become a better person, right? And it could take years. Like, makes me want to cry. Like, but like, um, you know, life hasn't been great for me, especially, like whatever, different things come up in my life that I can't change. And, you make mistakes in life and it fucking sucks big time. And you know, uh, I would like to say Jeff knows this full well. When you're sitting in a jail cell and then realizing that like you can't leave the country, like he probably still can't leave the country. He's probably was on probation years ago or whatever still, and who knows how long. And there's so many other things that so y- there's things that you can't get back, and it's to know that you've wasted your life in some way or whatever. But sometimes it takes years upon years to get over it. And um if you think and this is a big thing like that I've learned and that I will continue to learn, is that when some really shitty thing happens to me, one thing, I know I'm starting to heal when I start to realize how good I had it before, right? Um, because I'm not no longer in the dumps about my stuff. Now I'm thinking, oh man, I'm so thankful I had those good times. You know what I mean? Maybe they're shit now, but that was a good time. And I didn't even realize it was a good time. And it was a good time. Um, and the second thing is not trying to recreate the past, not trying to go or doing the same things. So there's one thing, trying to go back. He's to me, he's still making the same videos. He's trying to recreate the past. He cannot do that. You keep doing that, you will become a shell and a shell of a man. But it's going to take time. It's going to take a long time for you, I think. And if it's possible, uh, good. I hope so. But let's see. I'm crying.
but like, it's like the worst. Why are you crying?
Ah, he's just
No,
so
it's just
I feel
emotional.
so bad.
no.
For
It was your fault. You shouldn't have left for the bathroom.
I shouldn't
No, no,
I feel so bad for you, man.
Aw.
no.
And
Don't do that.
I know. And I feel bad for Jeff.
Yes.
Jeff is the first person I feel bad for.
Yeah.
And then after that, I
Natalie.
Natalie, who puts up with you?
And then I feel bad for myself. You got me that dog I can't take care of. No, but
I can't keep up with him, man.
no, this fucking blows. It fucking blows. It's such a bad shit situation, and we've tried. We've had this conversation like has happened with Jeff face to face a good number of times. I remember when he was making the doc, we went for a car ride around, and like he was like, "Hey, I know you've apologized to me in person, but like I want you to do it on camera so people can see." And I was like, "Okay." So we rode around for 45 minutes, and tears were shed, and there was a lot of conversating, and he was really fair to me in the car, and we were really fair with each other. Like it was very amicable, and like it was very sweet. And we got back to the house, and we recorded. We didn't hit record on the camera.
Really?
So it was. I'm not kidding. It was like 45 minutes an hour, not hit record.
Where's Oscar?
And then we did it again. We were like, let's go again. So we went for the same car ride down the same streets, talked about the same shit.
It's
in
not the same the
way.
second
And
time.
like that never made it in to his video. Maybe it was on his Patreon. I don't know where it was, but like
Yeah, but it
Like
probably didn't seem the same.
that
It's
kind of
not.
bummed me out.
It's
It's
not
like we're having all
authentic.
these conversations and like,
Right.
what is it
Okay,
for? Like, do you need to hear this?
so I don't know. I would love to know, like, I don't really care, but like, yeah, why does everything have to be public? Yeah, like, yeah, you had a long conversation, and it wasn't. They didn't hit record. Um, yeah, I mean, it's either, a mistake or maybe not, but at the same time, like, yeah, I don't know.
It's
Sorry, I feel
from
like
me,
I'm
or
being
do you
wordy.
hear it for your video, or like, and no one's seeing it at the end of the day. So like, what is it for? Like, what are we doing this for? And
Wh-
like,
No
it
one's
doesn't feel
seen it.
authentic.
No one's seen it anyway. So, why are we even doing this, right? Like, I think he lives so much for the views that he's forgetting what real life is. Oh, this kid, man.
Especially the
Adult
second time.
now.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. That's strange. I also, this is
That's
just like a really
strange.
stupid like little thing, but like the
Probably is.
roast.
Yeah.
He said that. He said Jeff said somewhere that I cut out. I was cutting out jokes about myself in the roast, which is so not true. He only said one joke about me, and it was just about. I didn't even know he said a joke about me until I asked Jason. I was like, "Did you cut anything out about me?" And the joke was, David has a new show on Discovery called Discovering David Dobrik, and the only thing they're discovering there is that David's gay. Which is like,
good joke.
I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's a joke we make quite often.
It's a joke. Yeah, it's a joke we make.
Sure, I'm
around.
not too sure about myself, but no, but
I
but
mean,
we
we're
didn't
all
try to
not
cut
sure of
that.
I
you.
would never, and that's what bummed me out. It made it seem like I'm controlling some edit here and like taking out stuff about me. I
Okay, so
definitely
he
did not
doesn't
touch
want
that
to.
fucking
Okay,
roast.
No, not at all.
I
You didn't touch
promise
it.
you, I didn't.
you protest too much about being controlling. So that seems like a big thing that he's frustrated over. It's just a thing we do that when someone gets at our nerve at something, it fucking makes us angry. And I can see he's like, I am not
I
controlling.
think later, for Jeff, it
I
became
am
more
not
like
controlling.
he
Probably
just
controlling.
didn't want to be involved with.
Right, but there's a way to say that other than like I'm silencing him.
Yeah.
I've never wanted to silence Jeff. I've never.
Yep. That's fair.
Well, hold on, that's not fair. Would I have loved for him to keep stuff to ourselves?
Yeah.
Like our conversations and stuff. Yes, but no. There was never a moment where I was like, no one can know about this injury. Like there was never a moment where he like walks into my office and like I hit a button and the door locks and I'm just like,
Yeah.
we need to talk about some stuff.
So he's not
You're honestly not that imposing or threatening. You're not that threatening.
Yeah,
I
not that
never
threatening.
do shit
He's
like that.
smiling, right?
You usually
He's
just
smiling.
But
run the other way.
I'm okay. I think at the end of the day, like
I don't
this
know what
has
that
been
means.
such a
Ugh.
shitty situation. Like from the moment it happened to the last couple months, and
I
like I
bet.
said, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about this, and I'm so sorry that this happened to you, Jeff.
Fuck, we're only at
I'm so
36
sorry.
minutes.
I'm so sorry, and
I'm so sorry. Okay.
I wish.
I wish that he could have said this at the beginning, because it's kind of like saying all these shitty things about person, dragging them through everything, and then being like, I'm sorry. It just, you're saying you're a good communicator? This is a horrible communication. Horrible communication. Haven't you ever heard of the Oreo?
Wish it was easier. I wish it was easier to deal with this. I wish we were both better communicators.
I wish we were both better communicators.
Because I know it eats you up, and I know it eats me up, and I know for a fact we don't communicate that to each other properly.
Okay. So it eats us both up. I mean, he's made it pretty clear now, right? That what he's upset about. I mean, he's made it pretty clear publicly, but I don't know. I'm just have this feeling that he would make it privately as well. He wouldn't be able to leave that alone. David, you just said at the beginning that you were a good communicator. I'd like to think I'm a good communicator. not so much.
And I wish we did that better.
I wish we did this better. Can we stop saying when someone is talking, like making, if you're going to apologize to someone, don't say we and don't say you, me. Use I statements. Okay? This is like simple well, I don't know if it's kindergarten stuff, but like basic communication skills. I feel this way when you do this. Well, okay, I guess there's a you in there, but it's like the I statements are very important. No I statements here.
And yeah. And I don't know. It's so fucking shitty, and there's nothing I can say here that will fix everything. So that's why it's like, that's why this is so tough.
That's why you haven't said anything.
And
That's
I
why
also
you
like
haven't.
I'll see comments sometimes like, did he forget what he did, or did people forget? And it's like, fuck no, I will never forget. I will fucking never forget. I used to.
Then give him a bunch of money. Don't make him beg for everything.
I used to love longboarding, and one day I went down this fucking
This is
steep
the most
hill,
stupidest
and I ate
thing. Oh
shit.
my god.
Like
I
ate
can't even.
fucking shit.
Ooh.
And I kept
I don't even
longboarding.
want to watch
But
this.
did I ever forget that? It's like, no, I never forgot going down that hill, and I made sure to never go down that hill again. And that's because it's a good thing to never forget, right? Like this
It's a good
moment
thing
has
to
taught
never
me
forget.
so many
Okay.
fucking lessons.
Yeah.
Where I'm gonna make sure nothing like that happens again. Nothing like that can even come close to it. Like we still do the goofy and like stunty things sometimes, but like now we can do it with like proper people around. And now I've learned to say no to a lot. You know, a lot of people come here wanting to jump off this roof into the pool because it is like in the perfect direction, but like just little stuff like that, like none of that is worth it. And luckily we get to do stuff with a TV show now too, where we have like every safety measure taken care of. And that's not to say that.
Yeah, that's a TV show. You could have done that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much money these guys make. Maybe they're like poor and they just say that they're rich, but it seems like they are. I don't know. Fuck.
People won't get hurt.
Annoying.
There's always a chance for people getting hurt.
Yes, of
You
course.
can roll your ankle getting out of the van. Like there's always room for that. I
just feel like.
But I'm definitely taking a lot better precautions for that.
I just feel like there's other things that could have been. He could have just made this.
What steps are you
so
taking
much simpler? He could have made this simpler.
I don't know. Be more. Do you
It's
think you could
fine.
Be more
This is
empathetic
part
in
of
your
his
life?
process.
Yeah.
I think it's part of David's process.
I think
this isn't part of Jeff's process. That's what I'm realizing.
Laugh, but I
Already laughing inside my head.
I think I've always thought I had like really solid empathy.
Yeah.
Because I am really empathetic when it comes to like strangers. For some reason, I'm really good with like people that I've like.
I really need to think about that one. Why your empathy with strangers.
What I learned recently,
if you see something, you're like, oh, that's sad. Okay.
It's not only like putting yourself in other people's shoes, but it's like putting yourself in their shoes as them, as the way they process things.
That's actually okay. That's actually a really good point because I remember he's just learning this kind of. I don't know, maybe this is a normal time to learn it, but like first when you're thinking like, oh, well, what would I do in this situation? And then going from there. And this is a step further in saying like, okay, but this person isn't me. So, if they were, and that's, part of like when you're analyzing a situation or whatever, you have to think about like, if I had the experiences of this other person, how would that feel to me if I had those experiences?
I was putting myself in people's shoes and I was just like, oh, that wouldn't bother me. You know what I mean? And like,
right.
I have a different.
It's also just like, it's easy to kind of be like, oh, that's not going to bother me. I mean, a lot of people have that, where they're like, probably me as well. Like, sometimes I slough things off, like probably with David. I mean, like, I don't understand what it's like to come from like a little cookie cutter family. And, I don't know what it's like to also, move from another country to, US. So, like, I'm not saying his life is perfect or anything, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know what it's like to come from a place like Vernon Hills and have this kind of very like simple way of growing up, right? Like that's not my experience. So like I make assumptions on that, and maybe some of them are right and maybe some of them are wrong, but I kind of see him as being kind of sheltered.
Different outlook on a lot of different things.
So that's part of it.
Like
It's sheltered,
the best
being
example I
sheltered.
have, and
The more
this is going to
experiences
sound
you go
really
through,
bizarre to say, but
the,
my
his
grandpa passed
experiences
away
are
when we were
like
in Slovakia.
falling off
Like it was
a
like
skateboard.
it was. I got to see him again, and then he passed away, and it was really fucking. He passed away the day I was driving back from his house to the hotel in Slovakia, and I haven't seen him in like X amount of years or whatever, and he passed away the day I saw him for the first time. Like it was really cool. My parents were like almost stoked on it. They were like, at least he got to
The
see him for the
first
last time,
time.
whatever. And then
Yeah,
I
but it
learned that
was
he
the first
passed, and
time
like
you saw him in a really
I
long
took it
time.
as like I'm gonna see him again. Like that's how I process those things.
But
Like
it's every
it's not to
when
me
it
like I'll never see this
ugh,
human being again. And I was just like, I'll just see him next time I see him, like wherever in heaven or wherever it is. And
it depends on how close you are to somebody too, right? Like maybe he's not that close with his grandpa.
and then Todd's grandma passed away recently, and Todd was like really going through it, and I wanted to text him.
Probably
I
he
didn't
was
know what to
closer
say
to his
exactly, so I remember I
grandma,
texted Natalie. I
right?
was like, I want to text him because like I want him to know that I'm there for him, but like I remember when my grandpa passed away, like I processed it differently. Like I didn't get a text from anybody, and that's because I wasn't like showing that I needed a text from anybody.
Yeah, but also it's completely different. Like you weren't even in the same country as your grandpa. You don't even remember your grandpa, right? Like, okay, so he lived in Vernon Hills for most of his childhood, so like you wouldn't have connection. Todd's grandpa probably lived in the same country, possibly the same city. You probably saw them a bunch. Like, yeah.
So like I asked Natalie, I was like, how do I go about this the right way where like he feels that I do care for him, but like
So this is like a completely other thing. One thing is that like, yeah, he doesn't know how to put himself in someone else's shoes, but it's also like, I don't think he really wants to. So him opening up, I just wish he wasn't opening up to Natalie because I think she's got like a very like this dude needs a counselor big time.
it's also not like fake, it's genuine, but it's coming from a way where like I want to check in if he's okay. So she helped me out with that.
What did you write to Todd?
No, he's crying again.
Hey man, you
good?
Hey man, you want to go to One Oak later to party? Hey man, bottle service on me.
I mean, that is what you do. You make jokes in a bad time.
No, I just said I'm here for him. I'm here for him. I'm
really
here for
nice.
him, and I'm keeping my thoughts. I don't know. But that's
So
like my big thing of empathy. Like
it's
I was just
humble.
taught recently that I'm trying to be better at. Is
Humble.
like
You
putting
need to be
myself in their shoes
humble.
as them, because a lot of times I look at things and I'm just like, why would that bother you? But then I realized that different things bother me.
You definitely missed a lot of things growing up.
What do you mean?
Well, like yesterday at the airport. Remember at the airport when he had the separate
never
car?
Forget it.
That was so crazy. It didn't bother me, but it was like we have a van coming home from the Discovery show. We get home from LAX, have a long trip, and we all get in a van, the 6 of us, and then Dave has Taylor pull up in Dave's car, and he's gonna go with Taylor in his car while our luggage is still coming out because Dave's
That's not fair.
I'm not. Listen, let me finish. I didn't care.
Well, we're all going to the same place.
We're all
That's
going to the same
important.
place.
Yeah.
I didn't care because I do put myself in Dave's shoes, and extra minutes at the airport for Dave means lots of pictures. So I didn't care. I'm like, Dave wants to take off in the Tesla. I don't care. Ilya and Natalie were not. They were like, Dave. It was like that's not what a leader does.
Oh, hold on, time out. First,
So he's a leader?
First of all, I
That's
always
so
have Taylor
weird.
come to get me.
Yeah.
Because I'm never actually on the bus with them. because immigration, when I step into the country, holds me in their immigration room. Like after I go to customs, they go, we need to examine and interrogate you.
Yes.
So I always get brought in to the room, and I sit there for an hour. They're halfway down the 405.
Oh, that's fair.
And I'm still in the room.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So this was my first time that I did customs in Houston. So when we landed, I was with baggage claim and everybody.
Free to go.
Taylor was there. And I told Ilya about Taylor, and I go, Taylor's here. And he goes, so what? And I go, well, I literally said this to him. I'm like, I kind of feel bad. Like, do I just take off? Like, she's here, and, like, you guys are waiting for your bags. And he goes, yeah, can I come with you? And I go, yeah, that's fine. And then I think Natalie went up to him, and Natalie was like, can you believe this fucking douchebag? and then I think Ilya came up to me, and then he was like, yo, Natalie, I think it's fucked up. So I know Natalie got in his head. Yeah, okay. But I did sit there with you guys and wait for the bus.
But at one point you did say, you go, okay, teach me here. What is the right thing to do?
So that's humility.
Yeah.
Humility.
So
He needs
that
humility.
means you're open to learning and
no, I'm definitely open.
And I think
I want to be able to be.
But
like,
only
I
when
be like 33 or 34
only when
years
he's
old, and I want to be
wants
like
it.
the master of empathy.
Yeah. Well, he wants to be the master of empathy. You got to start. Like, you don't have to. Obviously, he's starting where he enjoys it, but or where. Oh my God, my word's not working. I'm just gonna watch.
I've said this before. Like, I don't want to double down as like the villain. Like, I know a lot of people. Like, a lot of things
I think this is
have been said about us, and trust me, I'll get into all of those in the next coming weeks. But I disagree with a lot, and like a lot of people are like, just fuck it, like fucking fuck these people, like
right,
change your whole shit and become the fucking like fucking.
So, sorry, there is some truth to that because people are looking for authenticity. So, although being a villain is horrible, there is something endearing about someone just saying, "Yeah, I'm a shitty person." In general, and it's not for everyone. Like you think of like I'm not putting him in the Bill Cosby thing, but Bill Cosby did the opposite of that. He was always always positioned himself as kind of like this really moral and ethical person. Um, and that's typical for people who are hiding things, right? So if someone like comes out and is just like, look I'm just not that great of a person, it's kind of like authentic. You know what I mean? And he can be good sometimes and bad sometimes. And you think that way with Jeffree Star or, I think Trisha was able to do that for a long time. I think people are just like clearly sick of her shit or his shit. I don't know, depends on the day. But yeah, when people start just defending themselves, when sometimes it's better just to be like, yeah, I'm a shitty person. You know, what are you gonna do about it? And then go from there. You're gonna lose a whole fan base, so I don't know if he really wants to do that.
Fuck all these people, and like that's like I
Fuck all
never
these
want to do
people.
that. I never want to do that.
Never want to do that publicly.
I have love for a lot of people, including Jeff. But I've lost love for a lot of people. But yeah, I want to learn, and I want to be able to be like 35 and be the person that like a young creator or like a young actor or whatever comes to for advice, because like this year has been
your empathy.
The last 2 years have been the fucking worst times I could ever imagine. But like, I don't know who does that. I think it's Kelly Clarkson. But like, what doesn't kill you does make you stronger. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
And like if I can get through this, like properly through all this and properly learn stuff from it, then I'm gonna be like a really fucking strong person. And I hope
and then
that
something
I can
else is going
that strength,
to
and I can help a lot of people through it.
You're starting today, right now. This last hour was probably the most growth that I think I've seen you have. In
so
a
this
year.
is
And,
like very.
However it's received, maybe.
So there's with this tongue again. Am I always just? Does he stick out his tongue all the time, or am I just like really good at pausing it when he's sticking out his tongue? It's just so weird, but like yeah. So I think Jason is a good gauge for what currently is happening. Jason, you're a good-looking guy. Like just could you sit up a little bit? I mean, I'm sure people have told him, maybe just do something a little bit with your hair. Whatever. Anyway, it's fine. You're fine. Everything's fine. The tongue, though. I can't get over the tongue. Okay. Anyway, this video is way too long. I forget what I was saying.
Maybe we won't have a podcast after this.
Oh, I feel like Jason is kind of like a gauge for things, and for him to say that this is the most he's ever opened up, um, I, I mean, it shows a lot because he really didn't open up that much.
Like Dave was joking before we came in that this is our last podcast, and yeah, I'm ready for that. I'm okay with that. Just to see you get off the fucking couch and smile is all I care about. And for Jeff to smile. You know what? Is I don't know if this is a weird
Life
segue,
is
just popped into my
messy.
head. What's that movie that you like really related to yourself?
I think they're in a green screen behind them.
No.
I always look at things on my phone.
And
No, it's the movie where the guy's the carnival barker.
Oh.
I thought it was actually.
Oh my God! I have the quote in my room.
Green
The Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman. When we were really going through it, Dave, he saw this movie, The Greatest Showman, and he brought us all over and showed it to us, and it was a lot like you.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I really like that movie. I have a quote from it in my room
What happens in the movie that reminded you of yourself?
So vulnerability is hard for him.
So The Greatest Showman is basically like
and
this
so he's
carny
showing
guy
a
who, like,
movie
puts together
instead
a carnival. And it's like a wacky assortment of people, which is kind of like what we are.
Right.
Old
guy.
And
I'm more interested in this
he's
Entourage thing.
Old guy. He has
This
like
guy
a
is
hairy
obsessed with Entourage.
the bearded lady.
Bearded lady.
Yeah.
No, it's like a lot of things. And his goal
I'm really
is always
struggling
to
with
be
this.
like
It's really hard. It's at
to
the
go
very
one
end.
up from that, and that's like always been my thing.
Jesus
I'm always
Christ.
stuck in this YouTube
6
world.
more
And I'm like,
minutes.
I want to do something else. Like I want to do something bigger. Like I want to make a film, not be an actor, but like that level of like, because YouTube, there's no respect there, and I think that
he wants
that's
respect.
really tough. Like I wish that changed because I think
So
that
he
fucks
wants
with a lot
respect.
of creators. Yeah. Like in general, like I know it fucked with me because it's always like it was never enough. It's never enough. Like where you are, like you always have to do the next thing, and then the movie gets like lost in it. He gets what he wanted. Like he's rubbing shoulders with the stars. Yeah. He's like he has a completely new act, but he's not doing the things that got him there, and he's not doing the things that he loves. And I was like being with all those wacky people.
Yeah.
Not saying there was ever a moment where like I was gonna abandon anybody and being like peace, like hanging out with whatever. But just to wrap things up for this really bizarre podcast.
I'm glad he cut that off.
I know things are going to be clipped
really
from
bored.
here and maybe taken out of context.
Not me.
Taken
I
with
didn't clip
context, and
anything.
people react in different ways.
I don't even know if it's with
But
context,
I
though.
just want to be really clear that
This is the most exhausting thing I've ever done in my life.
That I mean, I've said it, but I just want to be really quick. I just want to be really clear that that there are a lot of things that I could have done differently. There's, from before the accident to after the accident to nothing to do with the accident. There's a lot of things that I could have done differently in my life, and like
okay.
And
this is what you're ending
I'm sorry.
on. Oh,
and,
you're trying. I mean,
I promised this before.
This isn't scripted. Give him that.
I'll say it again. Like I'm making those changes, and I'm open to those changes, and like I read every comment, unfortunately, that I see. So like I do.
Does that mean you're gonna watch this?
I
doubt it.
And then I'm not.
Oh fuck.
And I don't do this for any other reason than to spread joy on people's faces and to like make people laugh. Like genuinely, I don't do this for any other reason.
Not the money and the respect.
And I want to keep doing that, and it's been difficult to do without sharing this side or part of me, because I feel like I've kind of been.
I don't see. He loses me, David. For the off chance you are watching this, you are not being authentic. There, that's not possible. That your only reason why you're doing this is to spread joy. God damn it.
Been like leaving all my emotions in here and like not giving you guys the full scoop of everything, and I don't know. I also want to
maybe I'll make like kind of like a statement here, or like a guesstimate, is that because it's clear that he's making manipulative statements, right? He's saying all the shit stuff at the beginning, and then like at the end, he's kind of like filtering in like a couple I'm sorry's. It's very exhausting. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. How
Be clear
is
that
anyone even watching? Like
I'm
who's
not.
still watching at this point?
This video isn't a video where I'm pointing fingers at people or
You
anything.
are
This was
pointing fingers.
kind of.
You did.
Kind of just like.
You're trying
like
to
how I would talk
deflect.
to a therapist, like kind of just like a way of like just
But
getting
this is the
stuff
thing, is
off
that
my
a
chest.
therapist would actually like listen, reflect. Like I'm not a therapist or whatever, but I've been trained in some things, and like it's a communication back and forth. It's not just like you talking to a
that like
therapist.
I want to like grow from this, move
Please
on
go
from
to a
this, be better
therapist.
from this, and be honest about this, just so I can move forward accordingly. Like I feel like if I don't get this out or I don't get
Move
this off my
forward.
chest, like I
No.
genuinely, I'm like stunting my own growth, like
Yes.
in my character.
And
Like,
I think
feel
that
like I'm just,
another
like,
thing is, this is for David. This whole thing, everything is for David, which is, yeah. And at least he's being honest with that.
in this box unless I'm really sharing my experiences and what I'm feeling. So that was the purpose of this, and no other
Counselor
purpose.
would be good. You
And I
really
never want to be
should
the
see a
one
counselor.
that like makes a video about anyone because fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Yeah.
I never ever want to do that.
It's so weird when I
think
notice
too,
that
like,
he's on
I
a
know one
green
of Jeff's
screen.
criticisms of this podcast is that
It's
we haven't
weird.
said anything. So I think that in that regard, we've done right by him
Hasn't said anything.
by just and also
Oh, this is so
whatever was said
annoying.
today isn't
I
the
wish
end
it
of
was
it.
at the beginning.
You
It's
know,
not the end
Right,
of it.
we're
No.
all learning, and if we said the wrong stuff today, we'll come back next week and
totally
try to correct it. We're not saying that like this is the end of it at all. It's just scratching the surface.
And I think
Okay,
moving forward,
well,
like what Jason said,
interesting.
Jason was telling me about this pod is like he's like I want the podcast to be like just talk about your shit. And there are just things that I just hold to myself because like I actually don't know
Hold
why.
on.
Why have you held it?
So this is something that a counselor would ask. Why have you held it in?
I don't know because I
don't know.
because I
Then
always
think
want to be the
about
bigger
it.
person in some way, and I
Right.
feel like
I want to
maybe
be the bigger
when
person.
I do stuff like talk.
Yeah, so this is the way he's interpreting things. He doesn't want to ever interpret it that he is the bad guy or he was wrong. And David, focus on humility and vulnerability.
Talk about the stuff. It's not making me the bigger person, but it's also like just not making. But that also
So
makes me just not a person in general.
There's a point where it stops being noble.
Yeah, and it just it just like it like harms everything. Like I can be so much of a better person than I have been the last couple months, and that's just because I'm not myself at all.
So is it in the last couple months that you haven't been yourself, or the last couple years? Is it the last couple months? Wonder what he's looking at here. See what he's looking down? Interesting.
I mean, I'm like a fucking shell of David. And
In
I
the
hope
last
this
couple
is
months.
step one of many where I can talk about stuff and open up about
I'm a
stuff and be
shell of
honest. And
David.
move on and grow. And moving on does not mean forgetting. I just want to make that clear. Like, there's never going to be a time where I'm going to be like,
So I think that's
that
another
never happened.
message.
Like, maybe it may
Yeah,
seem
I'm
like that
gonna
to me
move
'cause I never talk
on.
about it.
I'm
But like,
gonna move on, but
I'm telling you, this shit follows me everywhere I fucking go in my head. So like, there's no use in forgetting it because that'll only hurt me. And
yeah, but you're trying to move
remembering it
on
just
without
makes
pain.
me learn and make sure
Jeff.
I don't make the same mistakes again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You're making mistakes currently.
Okay, I guess we'll see you later.
Good job,
This is
David. I'm proud of you.
exhausting. Good job, David.
Okay. All right, we'll see you guys later. This has been a Views podcast. My name is Jeff.
Bye, guys.
Okay. Bye.